Back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and we're having a very important and interesting conversation with regard to vaccination, with regard to the struggle of getting vaccinated and booster jobs, vaccine inequality. That is what we are talking about. So obviously, make sure you stay tuned because obviously, I have a lot to share with you with regard to this topic, right? Because there are so many different things that we can talk about, so many different opinions that I can share with you as well. So make sure that you stay tuned because I want to share the absolute best of opinions with you, and not just with you, but also with your friends and family. So make sure you ask them to listen in as well, because that way you can actually make sure that you are always informed about the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the entire world as well. All right. So don't forget to actually be a part of the show, to share your thoughts and share your opinions with us, because that way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and updated about the very latest. Now, you can get in touch with me. All you need to do is just text me on 07852473473. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, because that way you can actually make sure that you're always informed about the very latest that happens, not just here in the UK, but in fact all over the world as well. And now let's actually very quickly talk about the pandemic, the struggle for vaccines and whatnot. Right now, earlier the United Kingdom actually announced booster jabs for people because they thought, what, like, since we have so many doses and we can actually improve immunity, why don't we give booster jabs to the rest of the population, right? However, there was a lot of criticism that came along with it, because there were so many people out there saying, look, you don't really need these booster shots unless it's for people who don't have adequate immunity, right? If they have, and these are people who have immunosuppression or immunodeficiency, because they're getting bone marrow transplants or organ transplants, or they're being treated for cancer. So because of things like that, that was in fact a huge issue, right? And the problem, that, or rather the fact of the matter is, this was a huge issue because there are so many other people in the world who haven't been able to get vaccinated. So essentially what we're doing when we're doing this is that we're making it very, very hard for the rest of the world to move forward, because poorer countries haven't been able to get vaccinated. Poorer countries find it very hard to get the vaccines because the prices have increased, especially Pfizer. And because of that, we're actually moving them back, or we're putting them at the back of the queue to finally get the vaccines. And what that essentially means is that even though we as a country are going to be able to move forward and move forward and move past the pandemic, for a lot of other countries in the world that's not actually going to be possible, right? Which is why there's a lot of criticism with regard to it as well. Okay, so don't actually forget to share your thoughts and opinions with us, because we would love to hear what you have to say. And something else that you need to keep in mind as well is that now the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization have actually said, look, we're still conducting research. Maybe we'll give booster jabs to people who absolutely deserve it, and these are people who don't have adequate immunity. But in other cases, a mass rollout isn't actually necessary, right? And this is what they are saying. So please remember to keep that in mind, and to share your thoughts and opinions with us as well, because obviously I would love to hear what you have to say about this. All right, and now let's actually head into a small break, because after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. But until then, make sure that you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break right now.
But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense.
They can't accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he
Yeah.
might say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it. You had
Your
one
dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter. Yeah.
You know, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I'd dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. They'd have to me, "Why did you reject my son?" "Oh, I haven't rejected your son. I've just, or daughter, I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up."
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well in the UK. You know, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. You know, when it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. You know how much. A lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, you know, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. You know, for the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and I'm super excited to be here on this beautiful Thursday morning to share some thoughts and ideas with regard to the very latest that is happening all around the world. So if you want to get in touch with me and share your thoughts and opinions, don't be afraid to do that. Don't be shy. You can text me and call me on 078 You know, you can text me, call me, whatever it is that you want to do. You can go ahead and do that. All right. So don't forget to do that. Now, something else you can actually do is to go follow us on our socials. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can also download the app and make sure that you can download the app and make sure that you listen in from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. And now let's very quickly get back into our conversation because we still have a little bit more left to talk about this problem. All right. Now, to actually head back into our conversation now, you know, earlier we were talking about the struggle with vaccines, you know, how poor people find it hard. And in terms of vaccine inequality, what that actually means. Now, there's actually been a link that has been established that basically says, you know what, the more that people are getting vaccinated, the higher the vaccination drive, the lesser the death rate, right? And in poorer countries, this is actually much harder to prevent because a lot of these people in these poorer countries haven't actually gotten vaccinated. So that means that it's very hard for these countries to move forward and vaccinate themselves. And remember to keep that in mind as well, because when we you know, when people in the United Kingdom are getting these booster jabs, when people in the United Kingdom can actually get back to normal life, for a lot of these people in poorer countries, they will actually still be stuck in the worst stages of the pandemic in their countries, right? Because they'll be running out of hospitals, they'll be running out of oxygen, so many people will be suffering. And that's why it's important to keep that in mind as well. So don't actually forget, don't actually, don't think that people from poorer countries don't deserve the vaccine, or they should probably have more money to get it. Because if you actually think about it, you know, there's a reason as to why they are so poor, right? There's a reason as to, you know, why most of these poor countries are suffering so much. So it's important to keep that in mind as well. And obviously, you know, you need to keep in mind as well that when it comes to, you know, the pandemic, when it comes to getting vaccinated and whatnot, vaccine inequality is in fact a big problem. So many people have criticized the UK government for giving those booster vaccines, or deciding to even give those booster vaccines, when the rest of the world is suffering so much, right? Especially Sir Andrew Pollard, because, you know, he was very critical on it, and he said, look, you know what, you can't actually have this sort of, you can't actually have this sort of thing, you can't actually expect you as a nation to move forward if you're not letting poorer countries vaccinate their populations, right? Especially because people in these poorer countries haven't even gotten a single dose of the vaccination, right? So then obviously in those instances it's important for us to think about these people, think about these countries as well, and try to make sure that they are vaccinated, because if not, the whole world will still be stuck in the state of the pandemic. All right, now make sure you stay tuned, because I will be back in a few minutes to talk about, why there is a rise in working from home and whatnot. But until then, you have to make sure that you stay tuned.